All right, we're recording.
Well, this picture happens to belong to, that was Grandma Jean, that was my stepmother, and it was handed down through her family. It's a pretty rare type picture. Um, this plate was part of a set from my Grandma Anderson Holberg. My grandmother Anderson was remarried after my grandpa died, and this was part of her set. This is a vintage plate, and it shows the first big Lutheran church at Stanton that burned in 1939. At the time it was built, it was the largest frame building in the United States, with a steeple was probably 300 feet from the ground, something like that. So
Really? Do you know like what
was
year?
magnificent wooden structure.
Like, do you know what year like that building was there?
When it was built,
Yeah.
it was built either in the late 1800s or early 1900s, probably in the,
Wow.
Stanton was founded in 1870,
Oh, okay.
and so the church was built shortly thereafter. As a matter of fact, it'd be one of my mother's cousin was the first lady that was ever married in that church.
Oh, really?
Records of that. Yeah, it was a Swanson family.
So was that the first Lutheran church, and then that burnt, and then they built the Mamerland? Or-
Right.
Okay.
This came from Joanne's family. It's just an antique dish Mom got when they. It's a Franciscan porcelain.
Was that in Grandma's like chest, or that in her display?
What?
Was that in her display with all her dishes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I took some of these out of the china closet we look after. And this is beautiful. That came from Joanne's mother's too. So it was handed down probably through either the Johnson side or through the Olson side. There's one thing we want to remember when we start talking about this thing. We'll make sure that both my mother's maiden name was Johnson and Joanne's maiden name was Johnson. And our mother's name, my mother's name was Anna Rosella Johnson, and her mother's name was Anna Johnson. Our grandfather's name was both Axel T. Johnson, so that's kind of unusual. This is a solitary piece that was just came from Joanne's folks. It was part of a set. So that's some of the ones I took out of the china closet over here. We'll look over here. We some of the Swedish stuff that I've got on the wall. Some of that came back. It was Mom gave her mother a lot of Swedish gifts. I know for sure this one came back from the Olson family that she had given to them. This child's rocker here is an antique rocker that was Joanne's rocker when she was a little girl.
Oh, see, I didn't know
Came
that.
back from the
Oh my God.
Olson family.
Very cool.
And if we look the china closet was part of a set that after Dad remarried to Jean Porterfield is her name, why they had bought this china closet. Jennifer has 2 chairs in the set, and I also have 2 chairs. I refinished 2 of the chairs. They're a little bit different color than this. I wasn't very smart when I done it, but
I didn't know it went with that.
that
Oh,
this
okay.
is part of a set. They had a huge mahogany table that went with it, but this is solid walnut. This clock here was my dad's clock. Still works. If I remember to wind it, 7-day clock. And inside here was ones I didn't take out. It's got a couple unique. This is my Grandpa Anderson's shaving mug. You see the dividing in there where they put the. So that's quite a few years old now. He died in the early 20s. There's a set of dishes that my mother won on a punch board down in Hagen Samuelson's General Store in Essex. There was a quarter of a punch for it, and it's a set of 6. It's ultimately very thin, very delicate. There's one cup that got broken somewhere along the line. Other than that, it's a pretty unique piece. It's Japanese.
Do they have saucers with them?
Yes, there's a set in here that
Oh, okay.
goes with it. So. Well, we'll go in the living room here and see if we can't decipher some of the things that are here. This cut glass vase came from my Grandma Johnson. That was my grandmother, not Joanne's. So. And some of these collections are just something that Mom Joanne picked along the way. This cut glass came from my Grandma Anderson Holberg. It's one of the few things that I got for her. It's cut glass, very heavy, beautiful piece of work. This salt and pepper shaker is just part of a set of Fostoria. There's a complete set of Fostoria out that we had collected over the years. And down here is a lot of the silver that we got on our 25th wedding anniversary. None of it's probably ever been used.
Yeah. I know, isn't that something how people don't use silver anymore?
That's most of the stuff right here. There's some more Fostoria pieces that match the set that are in here. So. This is nothing. It's kind of interesting. I found these 2 cloth sacks the other day, and they are probably pretty old, but they are Swedish brown beans came in them when they were bought. That was one of the traditional dishes at Christmas for sure, was Swedish brown beans. And the other sack is something that I never really heard of, and it's yellow peas. It's Swedish at the top there, however you pronounce it.
Oh, yeah, I see, yeah.
And you can still buy yellow peas in some Swedish places, but that's something our family never had, so. I don't know if you can focus in on this chest in here or not, but
Oh, yeah.
there's quite a story behind that. That was a full-size dresser. And when Grandma Jean took, that became, the dresser was a full-size with the handkerchief boxes on the top, and it had a marble in between there. And it came from my great-grandma Swanson. It was carried part of the way by wagon to Stanton from Illinois when they moved here in 1870. So Grandma Jean took that with her and gave it to her nephew and his wife, and she cut it down and made a little deal out of it and put a marble top on it, which is, but I was glad to get it back. Bruce Sheldon gave it back to me, and so it is some part of a family that goes back a long, long ways.
So that marble top isn't original to that?
No,
Yeah.
No, the marble top was probably about like that between the handkerchief boxes on top. I was kind of glad to get that back.